my son, New Wine Congregation of Israel, coming at you with another quick fast lesson. All right. This one is entitled Don't Forget the Lesson from the Beginning. All right. Let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 3. And this is for brothers and sisters, right? Genesis chapter 3 and verse 16. It says, And unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over you, and he shall rule over thee. All right, so that's the first commandment that the Lord gave to the woman, that your husband, that you are going to be subjection to your husband. And he also gave a commandment to the man and the woman at the same time. He said that your husband is going to rule over you. So that's for brothers too. Brothers got to remember it's your job. It's your job. You're not doing your job as a husband if you're not ruling over your wife. All right. And to rule means to control, right? It means just that. It means to control. All right. Why did the Lord tell a man that he has to control his woman? All right. Let's go to the book of Sirach. Why did the Lord tell the man that he needs to control his woman? Right. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 25 and verse number 19. It says, All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. All right. So all wickedness, it don't matter what type of wickedness it is, it pales in comparison to the wickedness that a woman can do. You understand? It pales in comparison because a woman is an emotional creature, and she has the ability. A woman is willing to destroy herself and everything around her to prove her point. She'll destroy herself and everything around her just to prove her point. All right. And sisters got to know that about themselves. As if you a sister in this truth and you don't want to admit that about yourself, then you don't believe the Bible because it said right there. It said, right? Women have a higher susceptibility to idolatry than any other creature that the Most High made. And that's why the Lord said, as a husband, you got to rule over that woman, right? Let's stay in the same chapter and read verse 13. It says, Give me any plague but the plague of the heart, meaning give me anything but a bad mind, and any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman, right? Any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman, because a woman that's wicked, when she's in her feelings, when she's being wicked, when she's not in the spirit, she'll go to heights and measures that a man won't go to, won't even think to go to. You understand? You gotta understand that as a man, especially if you got a wife, right? Let's go to the book of Revelation. You got brothers, a lot of brothers that are so called in the truth that are scared to rule over their woman, right? They scared to control their woman, right? This is the book of Revelation, chapter 14 and verse 3. It says, And they sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the beast and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth. These are these which were not defiled with women, right? For they are virgins. Now, that doesn't mean that you never had sex with a woman, right? But your spirit can become defiled, right? With these women, with these strange women going into doctrines. But also if you're not ruling over your woman, right? That's what happened to Adam. You understand? Eve, his wife, she went out. She essentially seen a doctrine that was being practiced in the world outside of the doctrine that her husband was teaching her. And she got enticed by it. You understand? She got enticed by that doctrine. She learned that doctrine and she went and brought some to her husband. She went and brought some to her husband. It wasn't a tree, a apple or a fruit or anything like that. She went and learned a doctrine, and she went and brought that doctrine back to her husband, and he ate of that doctrine, and it defiled him. Right? We have to beware of that. It says, which were not defiled, which were not with defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto Yahweh and to the Lamb. Right? So you got to follow the Lamb, not follow your woman. You follow your woman, she's not going to respect you anyway because she knows she emotional. She knows she may feel a different way tomorrow. Right? And she's counting on her husband. Right? She counting on you to keep it together. Right? Let's go to Sirach 36. Sirach 36 and verse 25. It says, where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. Right? The hedge is the man. Right? It says, and he that have no wife will wander up and down mourning. Right? So where no hedge is, the possession is spoiled. A hedge is a gate. Right? It's like a gate, a perimeter, a border, something that you can't go beyond. You understand? The Bible says that the woman needs that from her husband. She needs her husband to place boundaries where she can't go beyond. You shouldn't just let your woman just be all out here and doing whatever the hell she want to do. That's how we got death brought into the world. You understand? That's how death got brought into the world. You supposed to stop her. You supposed to put something up and say, hey, we not going beyond this point. And that's chiefly supposed to be the words of the Lord, right? That's supposed to be the words of the Lord. Why? Let's go to the book of First Timothy. So we got to remember the commandment that the Lord gave us from the beginning, right? You got to rule over your woman. And sisters got to understand that it's a good thing for your man to rule over you, right? It's the book of First Timothy, chapter 2. And Salaki, I'm going to start at verse, man, I'm going to start at verse 13 just to keep time. It says, for Adam was first formed, then Eve. It says, and Adam was not deceived, right? Adam wasn't deceived. Adam got the commandment straight from the Lord. He knew what we were supposed to do and wasn't supposed to do. He knew that doctrine wasn't right. When she brought that doctrine to Adam, Adam knew that doctrine wasn't right. You understand? He knew it was a false teaching. It says, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression, right? The woman was the one deceived. And so with Eve, our women, our sisters, and this is not to put our sisters down, don't misunderstand me, but the truth is the truth. Our sisters have a proneness and a high susceptibility to idolatry, right? They have a high susceptibility to fall into idolatry, higher than men. You understand? All this social media, this Facebook, this Instagram, they created these things for the woman because the woman, when you look at it, they the ones who benefit from it the most, right? Men not posting pictures and getting 1,000 likes, not getting just based off the way they look. That's not something that's common, but women do that, right? You could see two, three, you could see 100 women pose in the same pose and take a picture, and they'll all get 100 likes on that picture, right? Social media was curated and created to make the woman believe that everything is about her, that she can get something for nothing. And men fall into we casualties of war when it come to that. You understand? But we have to remember the commandment from the beginning. You gotta rule over your woman. She depending on you to rule over her. Even if she don't say it, she depending on you, man. So do that, man. So with that, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. It's your brother Nasha.